Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name, and welcome to the Sora Dora Discovery Series. What is this exactly? It's an opportunity for you and me to smell fragrances in real time across the world. How do we do this? Well, there's two ways to enjoy this media. One, just continue to watch. Or two, and this is what I would encourage and invite you to do, jump on the Sora Dora website, go to the 11 Discovery set, use the code NFC10, you'll get a 10% discount, plus you'll get free delivery anywhere around the world. Now, in this particular video, all you gotta do is bookmark it, and the way you do that is you click here, save it here, and then when your Discovery set arrives, boot back to this production, and we can actually smell together in real time across the world. Boom. Now, I'd like you to put your fragrances in the following order. We're only going to do 6 today. Next week episode will be the other remaining 5. First will be Gladiator, followed by GREASQUE, then 7. Then we'll have MALLOW, then VANUATU, and finally KAMEL Oud. So let's begin with who is Sora Dora. In 2023, I had an opportunity to meet with Quentin Dorado. Now, Quentin is the French way of saying Quentin. From here on, I'm going to say Quentin. I've met him a few times. He has no problems in me calling him Quentin, and I think I'll say it a lot more confidently than my French version of it. During the France fragrance tour that I hosted alongside Kevin, we had a chance to meet with him, and he elaborated on his creations. We were fortunate to have one of the perfumers with him. Her name is Margot. She is part of Flair Paris, an incredible perfume boutique that creates fragrances for the niche world. I'll put a link below. Have a look at the fragrances that they have created. They're truly remarkable young ladies. Now, Quentin's family has been involved in perfumery for 4 generations. So Quentin comes with this incredible legacy of perfumery. And in 2021, he released his own brand to the market, Sora Dora. What does this actually mean? In this video here, he mentioned to me that it's actually a compilation of 2 words. His name, Quentin Dorado, so he grabbed the Dora component of it, and he had a very close friend of his who helped him establish, to actually bring his own perfume house to life, and this gentleman's name was Sora. So he wanted to pay tribute to this individual, and hence why Sora Dora. Now, if you look at Quentin, the dude is super handsome. He has this coolness about him. I mean, to look at the images, you feel that from him. He has an incredible brand, which has beautiful fragrances that you would think he would have airs about himself, that have a bit of a strut, you know, do you know who I am, style of, presence. In fact, he's the most humble person you're likely to meet. He's relatable, he's down to earth. One thing that comes through very clear is his love for perfumery, the artistic creation when it comes to this art form. Quentin mentioned that he wanted to grab classic French perfumery, but now bring it into a modern way, give it a modern twist. And I feel that Quentin has done an exceptional job alongside Flair Paris. And I'll talk more about Flair Paris in the next episode. So what I'd love you guys to do is grab your strips. I'm hoping you have a number of strips. I am going to ask you to first spray on the card, because I'm actually going to be talking to the screen as if you're in the room with me. So I will be asking you questions. At some stages, I will be asking you to pause the video, spray on skin, a whole bunch of different things, because I want this to be as interactive, as engaging as possible as we experience these fragrances together. So let's begin with Gladiator. I mentioned that Quentin wanted to grab that classic French perfumery and now give it that modern twist. I feel that Gladiator is the best place to begin this conversation because it follows a fougere structure. And fougere is one of those classic families within perfumery that is world-renowned, everybody loves. I always say jokingly, not jokingly, that there is the fougere police. There is a very strict structure that these individuals are looking for. And if it deviates from that, they're like, not a fougere. Normally a fougere follows a particular pattern, and that is that on the opening you have something like a citrus, something bright, aromatic. It could be lavender also. Then in the heart of it, there is a floral, but it tends to be green, something like a geranium, something of that nature. And then finally, when it settles in the base, it does go a bit earthy, hay-like. So coumarin tends to be a favorite note, and also oak moss. What it's doing, for those who may not know, is trying to recreate what a fern forest actually smells like. So that top of the canopy, the top end with that aromatic brightness, you know, that greenness, that sparkling, then the actual plant itself in that heart with the florals, and finally the earth or that undergrowth with the hay-like earthy quality to it. The perfumer for this fragrance is Camille Chemartin. She's one of the talented young ladies from the Flare group. And I love the twist on this. As you sprayed it, what did you detect? So you're getting that sharp, bright citrus note on that opening, but there's something else playing through. There's a pineapple on that opening. And it's interesting, Aventus has also a pineapple note. It's not as juicy as that fruit. There's something else in that background. Mint. Can you smell the mint? But I find that that pineapple juiciness and that interplay with that mint, the balance between the two creates a whole new expression in this classic fougere style. Quentin has a very close friend who loves fougere fragrances, and it was with this individual in mind that he actually wanted to create something unique and different for him essentially, but also for the rest of us. Now the word gladiator instantly conjures up the right imagery of what the fragrance is about. Definitely masculine leaning. There is a certain strength. It is a confidence maker. If you have got a big deal that you need to be doing within the office, something that you need to pitch, Gladiator would be a great support to give you that edge, give you a sense that I can do this thing. I find that the fragrance, when it opens up, it does have a beautiful citrus bright opening. Those citrus, that pineapple, the fruit notes that are there are just sort of bursting out. Then it does migrate to this beautiful juicy herbal, and that's where that interplay between that pineapple and that mint begin to sort of balance each other out. Finally, it does go to a woody earth. It does settle in that classic fougere place. However, the mint, and I feel for me, and maybe it's inception, but that juicy pineapple is still playing down even in the very bottom. I do get a slight, almost aquatic touch to it. And I don't know whether this is just an imagined thing, but in smelling it, I get a saltiness out of it. I get this sea air, this happiness. I get a brightness, and I get this sense of confidence because of the fragrance. I find that Gladiator's performance is incredible. You're getting 12 plus hours without a problem. I'll even say that you're gonna get 15, 16 hours, no problems at all. And its sillage and projection are in that moderate but to high. If you love fougères, this baby here is a must. Try it at least. For those who have a discovery set, I'd recommend put that on skin. What you're smelling on card and what you'll experience on skin are two different things. My son, a 26-year-old, who has access to my entire library of fragrances, and yet the one that he's forever reaching for is Gladiator. Actually, I bought him a bottle because every time he'd come to the office, he'd always say, where's Gladiator? So in the end, I thought, I'll do the right thing. I'm a good dad. This is his confidence booster. And this is something that he has shared with me. If he's got a big deal, something he needs to pitch, or a new client that he needs to see, Gladiator is his secret weapon. He says that when he smells it, as he begins to, that cold sweat that you sometimes get, as it pops forward, it gives him a reassurance that everything is going to be fine and I can do this thing. Fragrance, smell, is a powerful mood enhancer. One that I'm wearing today is that very thing to give me the confidence as I start to sweat and start to sort of freak out. Then this beautiful perfume can actually realign your mind, can calm your brain. And Gladiator is that very thing for those who need that little bit of extra boost. Great as a summer fragrance, and a beautiful fougere with a twist. The next one, which is GREASQUE, was the very first one that I included in my collection. This is the one that I fell in love instantly. It reminds me of another fragrance, but I'll share with that in just a second. I find that this one here does it in a much more profound way. I'd love you to spray because I want you to experience this moment alongside me. What are you getting? Just pause and smell. And what does it conjure up in your mind? Can you see anything? I think this is why I love it so much. For me, it takes me to my youth, and it takes me to a very specific moment, and that is Saturday mornings. I was very fortunate. My father loved to have fruit trees and a whole bunch of different things. And in that summer landscape, there were apple trees full of apples. There was stone fruits all around me. So I picture a Saturday morning, fresh cut grass, fruit trees around me, that sense of fun, that sense of what is ahead of me. School is out. I'm now going to enjoy my weekend. GREASQUE is actually in celebration of the first town that one of Quentin's ancestors came to. It's in the south of France, and that's where this gentleman established himself and actually created a legacy for the family, because from there they then went into cultivating ingredients for the perfume industry, etc., etc. So Quentin wanted to pay tribute to his heritage and the connection that he has to perfumery. What's interesting here is I'm getting an unusual note. I'll tell you about it in a minute. So on card, it has a different spin. So if you have, let's begin. I was going to say, if you have room, space, I'd love you to spray on skin, because GREASQUE is a different experience on your actual skin. And there it is. So one of the key notes in the fragrance is a black currant and also a black currant bud. So it has the juice and also has the plant. I find that sometimes black currant can have a bit of like a pea smell to it. So this is what I'm getting on the card. I'm getting that sort of unusual scent profile. I've actually recommended GREASQUE to a number of people. I know they've sprayed on card and they're like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. I encourage you, spray it on skin. It's a whole different experience. All of a sudden, that black currant and that black currant fruitiness becomes more on the juicy side, on the fruit side, as opposed to on that other unusual scent profile that it can create. And what I get so clear is this wonderful mint. The mint, I feel like, explodes, the greenness of the mint. On the opening, there's two notes that interplay with each other. One is a basil note. So now that I say basil, I'd love you to smell. And you get that almost crunchy taste in the mouth of that green aromatic basil, but also interplayed with that mint note, but also interplayed with the fruitiness of the actual black currant. I find that the fragrances are not singular. It's not boop, this is what it is and this is where it goes. I find that the fragrances on me, and especially on skin, move around, do different things. Sometimes a particular piece of the fragrance comes forward or a note comes forward, but then it comes back and it moves around. The perfumer again for this fragrance is KAMEL. And unlike Gladiator, where I feel that there are these transitions as it goes from the opening to the dry down into the full dry down, here I feel like the three core notes for my nose that are constantly playing backwards and forwards is that beautiful basil, that green aromatic crunchiness of the basil, then that wonderful fruity black currant note, and finally the mint. The mint, the way that I like to describe it is, for those who, and again I go back to my youth, there used to be a Wrigley spearmint. I don't seem to find it anymore. It had this white packet. Now, I don't know whether it actually smelled like this, but I know that when I smell this mint, it takes me back to my youth, and it takes me to actually inhaling that beautiful spearmint that was in that packet. And I find that it takes me back to that moment in time. GREASQUE for me is my summer fragrance. Whenever it is hot in Melbourne, the more I know I'm going to sweat, GREASQUE is my companion. Regardless of how hot my body gets and how much sweat I'm producing, stinky sweat, this fragrance here will stay with me. There's another beautiful fragrance by Xerjoff called Torino 21, and I find that it has some pieces similar to here. Torino 21 has that sugary sweetness and that citrus that does go to a mint. And then it does settle into a green verbena. The difference with Torino 21 is after 5 hours, I do sweat that off. Whereas I find that GREASQUE, 10 plus hours, the sillage and projection is still in that moderate. It is still bursting forward. It's still giving me that oomph or the rejoicing that I am in this summer landscape. Fantastic fragrance for summer, for Northern Hemisphere, massive recommendation, but test it on skin. I don't recommend card. It stays very singular. On skin, it dances beautifully. Let me go to the next one. So I mentioned that Gladiator was the fougere with a little twist, but the classic fougere structure is there. When I met with Quentin in Cannes, he was releasing 7. He mentioned to me that he wanted to rethink a masculine fragrance. And what's the classic masculine fragrance? A fougere. So they wanted to turn the fougere structure and just give it a twist. This is the video. My response to that is about time. Let's do something exciting with the fougere. Let's do something a little bit different. Here's another one that I'd love you to test on skin. I'd be curious to know if there's any women watching this and you have the Discovery set. I would love you to test this and put it on skin. How does it play for you? From my experience, my editors are young ladies. It's not something that they like. They specifically said to me, this is more of a masculine fragrance as opposed to something that they can wear. So I want you to do 2 things. 1, I'd love you to spray it on card. What are you getting? And I remember the first time I experienced it with Quentin, I did spray it on card and I started to say to him that I could picture like a hill, a green hill and soft clouds. And I do remember his expression at the time. He's like, oh, that's interesting. And I could tell from his comment that I had said something that was unusual to him. I find that on card, it's a little bit soft and round and not as expressive. It feels a little bit singular. It doesn't feel like it has a lot of personality to it. This is why I'd love you to spray it on skin. Now, I have sprayed it here earlier, and I want to tell you, before I spray it on skin, please go ahead and spray it on skin so you can get that opening. I'll tell you about it in just a second. On the dry down, it goes to this beautiful, dusty, woody vanilla place. It is remarkable. From where it began to where it ends up, it is something else. I'd love you to spray if you haven't. I'm going to respray again because I want that opening. Boom. And in the air is divine. See, and this is the other thing. On card, I'm not getting that masculine edge. As I said, I pictured this sort of roundness, this green hill, these clouds. But yet, on skin, I'm going, oh no, this is a masculine fragrance. This has a certain masculine presence to it. It has but it's not a classic sort of masculine fragrance like the fougere is, or the Gladiator is. On skin, I absolutely love the evolution of this fragrance. I find that it has this sharp citrus, and it's a citrus with something else. There's something else going on there. It does then migrate to this wonderful herbal, hay-like quality to it, and finally settles into this vanilla, woody, aromatic place. There is a slight dustiness in the actual base. There's something, but yet I'm still getting that beautiful aromatic sort of masculine edge to it, that woodiness, but with this vanilla touch, and it's never gourmand, so it's nothing ever overtly sweet or anything, but there is this slight, yes, you know, I'm a big, strong, masculine man, but I'm very much in touch with my feelings, and you know, I can cry if I need to. Whereas Gladiator, I will never cry. It's such a bold fragrance. Actually, I'd love you to do a comparison. If you can smell 7 for me. Are you not getting a softness? Are you not getting this soft edge to it? There's no sharp pieces in that. And now go to Gladiator. Gorgeous. Tell me there's no muscles on that, even though, you know, like the card feels like it has some kind of bulging muscle with the veins popping. It feels aromatic and strong and classic masculine, whereas this one, and as I said, I can't smell, after I smell Gladiator, I can never quite smell 7 on card, whereas on skin, I'm now getting this other piece coming through. There is nutmeg in the fragrance, and it's that equal part woody and spiciness that plays within the fragrance. It takes me into the summer landscape, these cicadas chirping in the background, heat. I feel like I'm walking along like an orchard, a citrus orchard. I'm at times sort of peeling back on the skin, so I'm getting the sharpness of the lemon or the grapefruit or the bergamot, but I can also feel the softish clay at my feet. I've got no shoes on, I'm walking along barefoot. I can just feel summertime. It feels vibrant and strong. It feels confident and happy. This is one that I have not stopped wearing, and I share it with everybody. I'm also a little bit on the fanatical side. My son came over recently. I said, you need to try this one out. He sprayed it on the card. He's like, oh, I don't think this is for me. And I'm like, just shut up. Just trust me on this. And I sprayed it on his leg. Without his permission, he gave me the, oh man. Skin, when it comes to perfumery, is high real estate, so you only want to spray stuff that you want. He came up to me afterwards, he goes, 7 is incredible. And I'm like, I told you, brother. I get a comfortable 10 plus hours from 7, and I find that its sillage and projection is in the moderate. I also find that this is not a fragrance that you come up to and you inhale. Sandra has done that before, and she's like, well, what are you wearing? Whereas its sillage is where the magic is. Let the fragrance take flight, let it be around you, as opposed to burying your nose. Whereas you can bury your nose in Gladiator. It's a beautiful scent up close. I find that 7 is glorious in the air. And the more you sweat, the more it makes you feel good. Mallow. To look at it, has this cute little pink SD on the top. The writing is in pink. And mellow makes me think it's an extension of the word marshmallow. So everything about it starts to reflect that maybe this is more of a female-leaning fragrance. I'd love you to spray if you have it in front of you. And I want you to think masculine or feminine. So think the classic stuff, the way marketing has told us to think, and that is, you know, woods and aromatics, blah, blah, blah. Men, boom, aromatics, you know, this style. And then florals and sweet and fruity, female. So I want you to think in that style. What do you think? Masculine or feminine? So a lot of people were going to say that this is probably more of a feminine leaning fragrance. What I get on that opening is a very strawberry, raspberry, sugar pop. Something playful and fun and just summertime. I can see a beach ball being bounced around. I get also this tinge of orange or something sweet in the background there, some florals kicking around. But everything is bright and happy. I asked Quentin, what's his, even though it's a hard thing to answer, do you have a favorite, was essentially my question. What's the one that you're constantly reaching for? And his response is Mallow. He loves to wear Mallow. He says that when he wears this fragrance, he's getting nothing but endless compliments. On a man's skin, Mallow is quite incredible. I find that on cart, it is very singular. Another one, if you have some skin left, I'd love you to spray Mallow. This is one that I love wearing. I love wearing Mallow. And yes, if you look at the notes, it does have raspberry, and it says it has like a vanilla sugar. So this sherbety fun, the colors that explode in my mind as the fragrance opens, is this powdery boof of pink and purple and this almost a sugariness in the air. It's a fun fragrance. It's a summertime fragrance, but it's a wintertime fragrance too. It will bring a sense of sunshine. Normally I like a citrus fragrance in winter, but Mallow is fantastic as a wintertime fragrance. It's something that will open up the windows and bring sunshine into your life. When I was with Quentin, I asked him about the fragrance, and he mentioned to me that the secret, the magic of this fragrance is this hidden orange blossom that's in the heart of it. I remember smelling it, and I'm like, normally I can pick up an orange blossom note, you know, that beautiful mixture between that white floral nectar orange, a little bit of the greenness. Took me a while. As it dries down, and if you think orange blossom, you are getting this very animated and bright orange blossom. The best way I can describe this is think of converting something in real life into a Studio Ghibli animation. The exaggerated colors, the brightness. I think of Spirited Away as a classic example. Again, that beautiful green hill as the wind is moving all the grass, and that cloud, the blue and the white puffy cloud. This is that orange blossom being flipped over into a Studio Ghibli style. And the next magic is it's different on different skins. On me, I retain that raspberry, sugar powdery, with that Studio Ghibli orange blossom that comes through. My editor, a young lady, she was wearing it yesterday. And I'm getting, on her skin, it's a lot more floral. There is violet and also violet leaves within the construct. And I'm getting that powderiness, that more floral element coming through. That sugariness that I get on my skin doesn't accentuate as much. If anything, it's quite tame. This is a monster fragrance. Here's my warning. If you are putting this on skin, know that your sillage will be huge. So I love to say low, moderate, or high. Well, this is now in that nuclear, like massive, like monster when it comes to the way this fragrance push. It does have more than 12 hours on skin. I love the evolution of the fragrance. The way that it starts with that sense of optimism and just bouncing your step, and then where it dries down. You get this wonderful raspberry powder pop on that opening. It does then dry to beautiful sweet florals. You are getting floral nature to the fragrance, and finally dries down to a sweet musky fragrance. I still retain on my skin the early sweet notes of the raspberry or that sugar pop, as I mentioned, but I am now getting more of a musky skin-like quality to it. I was in the garden the other day, not something that I enjoy. I'm not much of a handyman kind of person, and I knew that I needed a fragrance to pep me up a little bit. Mallow was my secret weapon. 2 sprays only, and this thing was a beast. No matter how much sweating I was doing, it was a glorious day, sunny. No matter how much dirt and muck I had on me, Mallow was producing itself forward, giving me that, I guess, it's fine, this will end soon. You'll be able to finish what you're doing. Mind you, afterwards, I felt like a boss. I looked at my garden, all the trees were pruned, all the garden was weeded, and I felt accomplished. And again, Mallow was still present and congratulating me on being an awesome man. Something like that. Yes, a man can wear this fragrance. Forget the coloring and the cuteness on it. This is something that, on a man's skin, creates a whole new direction. Gladiator, classic. You know what you're getting. Whereas if you rock and you come in with Mallow, people will be like, whoa, what is going on? And as Quentin said, the fragrance that turns more heads for him is Mallow. Now, before we move on, I'd love you to do a comparison. If you did spray it on skin, smell 7 for me, please. What a glorious, masculine fragrance that isn't overtly masculine. And yet, I'd be curious to know, any women who have sprayed this on skin, do you feel that this is something you can wear? All the women that I know is a big no. They're like, this is a masculine leaning fragrance. And any boys who has sprayed Mallow on their skin, what is your take on it? I'd be curious to know too, if you have your wife or partner, what's their thoughts on it? Do you think a man can pull this fragrance off? My answer is yes. Quentin's answer is also yes, but I'd be curious to hear what you think. Next one. This is the one I'm wearing today. I love sandalwood fragrances. They just ground me. They bring peace to my brain. Whenever I get a little bit stressed out, a good sandalwood fragrance is magic. I did create this particular production. VANUATU is in this lineup. So if you love sandalwood, you want a beautiful expression, have a look at these. And I did say this in the video. This is my favorite sandalwood fragrance. When I want something that is sandalwood, but a little bit on the twist side of things, VANUATU is my go-to. And as a compliment, beast maker, VANUATU is incredible. Incroyable. I'd love you to spray. And we're gonna do a bit of a parlor trick. This is what I love doing when it comes to this fragrance here. What are you detecting on that opening? What do you get? Is there a particular note that seems to push forward? If I say to you coconut, do you feel like it has a coconut touch to it? And it's interesting, on card, I don't pick it up as much. On skin, on that opening, I am going to spray on skin, everybody, excuse me, because I'm wearing it. I don't want to mix things up. Funny, on skin. On skin, it's a whole new expression. So there is no coconut. And I do love saying to people, can you smell coconut? And they're like, their eyes light up. They're like, oh yeah, coconut. Just before I started in talking with Grace, I'm like, here, smell this, because I had it on my hand at that stage. And she's like, wow, that's beautiful coconut fragrance. And I'm like, just smiling at her. I think I'm never going to be a good poker player because I have too many tells. And she's like, oh, there's no coconut in this. And she's like, why are you tricking me? So sandalwood has a number of different nuances within its construct. Creamy, woody, musky, but also clean. It's interesting to note that the creamy side of things sometimes is compared to like a coconut milk or a coconut touch, even almond milk. And I feel that the sandalwood here does have almost a milky coconut. What is listed in the notes is a fig milk. I have a beautiful fig tree in my backyard, and as I pick my figs, I love the little bubble of that milky sap that comes up, sort of the stickiness of it, the smell of the actual creaminess of the fig, which is equal part juicy, but it does have a little bit of that green leafy side of things. And this, I feel, is what exists here. When you now think creamy fig, or that fig milk, intermingled with cardamom, so green cardamom, and rhubarb, which also has a green sharpness to it, with a woody base, this fragrance, I feel like, captures all of those pieces there. I love the evolution of Vanuatu, the where it starts and how it migrates through. I do get like a sophisticated florals on that opening. There is a light floral touch to it. Then it migrates to this green, spicy, woody place, and finally does settle to a spicy sandalwood fragrance. I can detect that sandalwood touch to the fragrance. I have made comparisons, and again, if you watch this particular video, where a clean sandalwood fragrance, Santal du Pacific by Paris Monte Carlo, and then compared it to Vanuatu on their dry down and their beautiful, woody, crisp sandalwood fragrances. The difference is that Vanuatu does have that green, spicy cardamom touch to it. I have compared it to the cardamom pod, which has been dried and kind of crunchy in the mouth. It has a crispness to the actual scent profile of that cardamom intermingled with that sandalwood. If you want a fragrance that does calm your soul, it just realigns your mind. If you want a beautiful sandalwood fragrance, I'd love and I strongly recommend Vanuatu. I found that the fragrance has great longevity, 8+ hours without a problem, even with sweating. So I have worn it on warm days, and it's a great sandalwood fragrance for a summertime. It does, you sweat in it, but it doesn't sweat off. So 8 hours, you're gonna get that beautiful scent profile, and its sillage and projection is in that moderate, and it's a confident moderate. Those around you are definitely detecting this fragrance. This is, as I mentioned before, a compliment maker. I wear this on a beautiful sunny day. It's just pushing off my skin. The mixture of that beautiful sandalwood note mixed in with those green cardamom, slightly spicy, it's just divine. Something really, really special. So easy, a male or female fragrance. I find that for me, it is squarely as a unisex fragrance. It doesn't lean either way. Whereas some of these others, you can say, oh, too many florals, too much sugar, etc., etc. Whereas I find that Vanuatu is perfectly aligned for everybody. And we're down to the last one. Now, before I go into this glorious oud fragrance, and I'm covered in perfume, by the way, here I've avoided spraying because this morning I sprayed KAMEL oud. And even covered in perfume as I am, and stimulated my nose by smelling them all again, from this morning, and this is after 6 hours now, 7 hours now, with a shower, I went home, I got myself ready, with yoga to zen myself, KAMEL oud is still present. So now, I'd love you to spray. For those who are new to oud, this is a perfect place to begin because this is a true introduction to a beautiful oud fragrance. For those who love oud, this is a great one to include in your collection because of its nuance and difference. Whereas here, well, actually, I sprayed. What are you getting? I mean, as soon as I sprayed, it's like boom, boom, boom. It's all happening. And notice that I left it to the very end because after smelling this baby here, the rest, you know, they do get enveloped by the grand beauty that is KAMEL oud. What I find that it's equal part opulent and robust and intense, but at the same time, it has this elegance and sophistication to the fragrance. It's not just this intense barnyard, fecal, blow your brain type of oud. from the beginning as it moves through, it stays in this exceptionally well-crafted, beautifully elegant fragrance, but celebrates the oriental nature of its heritage, of where oud was first established, where it came from, alongside those other spicy oriental notes. My biggest question that I had when I spoke to Quentin was, why did you call it camel oud? I thought he was being cute with the K, that it was like a camel caravan, you know, this Arabian style. In fact, it's KAMEL, and KAMEL is an actual person. Quentin wanted to create a tribute to a good friend of his, KAMEL, who introduced him to not only oriental style fragrances, but also oud back in 2008. So what does that mean? It was 2002 when YSL introduced M7, and oud was in that fragrance. The first time that our Western noses discovered an oud note within a perfume. I dare say that by 2002 to 2008, oud was still making its way through into perfumery. So when KAMEL introduced Quentin to not only oud, but all these other oriental notes, in his words, it blew his brain. It made him fall in love with oriental perfumery. So when he created his celebration of all things oriental notes, and in particular oud, naturally he had to tip his hat and his appreciation to KAMEL, who introduced this to him for the very first time as a young man. If you spray it on card, I want you to make the big step forward and actually spray on skin. Those words like boom, boom, boom. You can wash it off, no big deal. Well, I mentioned earlier that you can't wash it off. It will come off eventually. It's interesting, on card, I quickly get those oriental notes, the spiciness, the cumin, the oud seems to come out of the gate, not the fecal, but that very robust sort of soul rumbling oud note that's in there. Whereas on skin, you're getting this beautiful brightness from it, this unusual brightness compared to the card. Things like CO2, pink pepper extraction that's in that opening, bergamot, there is an elemi and also an aldehyde, that clean sort of note that is used to enhance other fragrance notes. It actually tricks you from where you are going to end up. There's a brightness, there's this happiness about it, and then it evolves. It goes from this brightness that it has on that opening into this spicy, woody place, and finally into these smoky woods. There is very clean lines, and I'll go one more. That explanation that I gave, that's really just to paint an idea of what the fragrance is. It's a lot more mysterious than that. I find that the darkness and light in this fragrance is exceptional, and I love fragrances that do that. Fragrances that present one thing but then pull it back and then show you something different and then sweep around and come through. Things like this creaminess that comes in, and then all of a sudden you're getting a smoky leather, and then all of a sudden you're getting this beautiful fruit tinge or sweetness, and then all of a sudden these spices are coming in. The dance is phenomenal. Where you are, where you go, how it moves around, it changes at different times. It does remain an oud fragrance, so there's no mistaking that. So as you smell it, you won't be like surprised, like, oh, why, am I really wearing oud? You are wearing an oud fragrance. It is a low-ation oud. This is what's listed in the notes. And I find that low-ation oud tends to be a lot more subdued, less fecal and barnyard, and more robust. That beautiful oud scent profile stays within that fragrance. You're gonna get 12 plus hours, if not 24. It'll stay on skin for quite a while, and I do find that its sea edge and projection is moderate into that confident high. It does have beautiful push. When it's in the air, people are detecting this gorgeous fragrance. And bada boom, there you have it. 6 from the 11 in the set. Each one of these are gorgeous. Each one of these are exceptional. They are statement makers. Within my family, within my crew, this is something that we all love exploring. There's something for everybody here. Next week's episode will cover the remaining 5, and these are gorgeous, gourmand expressions. Now, if you don't have the Discovery set, very easy. All you gotta do is jump on the Sora Dora website, use the code NFC10, get your 10% discount, free delivery, and then meet me again next week as we go through the remaining 5. I hope you enjoyed that. 6 incredible fragrances from Sora Dora. Love to hear your comments. If you have been following me on this discovery series and you have tested some of these on skin, I'd love you to tell me what you think of them. What is your feeling? In particular, 7, girls, what do you think? Mallow, boys, what do you think? Thanks everyone. We'll see you guys all on the next episode.